Hello friends, my name is Leigh and I share videos on photography as an art and as a lifestyle. Today, we're not taking photos, we're printing them. I am going to talk a little bit about when I decide to print and frame photos, how I do that. We'll look at my printer and I'll share a little bit about each photo as we look at them. If I'm printing a photo and framing it, I usually have a story about it. Let's do it. First, I want to thank the sponsor of this portion of the video, Frames Magazine. This is an actual printed photography magazine. I kind of have trouble calling it a magazine because it is so nice and so well made, but it is a quarterly magazine that you will probably want to keep and display with your art books. In each edition, there are a number of photographers featured, and there's always a little bit about each photo. I love that. I will add a link in the description for you to learn more and to subscribe so that you can get your hands on these beauties. I even have a discount code for you. Plus, your subscription will also include the Frames Photography Circle membership. It is their international photography club where they host live online events with some of the most inspiring and respected photographers, and also offer members a dedicated internal platform and Circle app, allowing you to interact with each other, to share your work, and communicate directly among each other. It seems like a wonderful place to meet other photographers and share your stories. This is actually where the idea for today's video came from. I've talked about a lot of things on this channel in the past 14 years, but I haven't talked too much about why I would print one photo and not another. Anyway, thank you to Frames Magazine for supporting this channel. Okay, let's take a look at my photo printer. This is the Canon Pixma Pro 100. We've had it since 2013. That's 11 years and she's still going strong. They don't make this one anymore, but I will link to a newer version in the description of this video. This thing has done a great job for us. It's an inkjet printer. It has 8 dye-based ink cartridges inside it and can print up to 13 by 26 inches. I love having the freedom to print on demand and that I have control of the entire process. We will come back to print some new photos in just a moment. Now, I do print and hang photos here on this wire relatively often, but I don't swap out the photos in frames around my home and office very often, if at all. If I'm putting a photo into a frame, it is generally because I have some sort of emotional connection to it, either because of the story behind the photo or because of the photo itself. So I don't want to take it down. The first set of photos that we will be replacing today are these 2 square photos that are over our flight and driving simulation station in my office here. These 2 photos are from Grand Teton National Park when we visited in the summer of 2016. This was our first sunrise from the trip. That was our last sunrise of the trip. This was facing the Tetons. This was facing away from the Tetons. Both were beautiful sunrises, but this last one was especially colorful, and I really enjoyed the mist hanging around. And that photo has an abstract element to it with the layers of color and texture. Of course, the Tetons are unreal. They're just so sharp and huge. This was an amazing trip exploring Grand Teton and Yellowstone. A funny story about the trip is that we had our kids with us. And that's not always the case for these photo trips. We haven't always brought the kids with us because Raymond and I are typically out from before sunrise until after sunset every day. But this trip was different. The kids were much younger then, but we were game to take them out, and they were game to come out for sunrise or sunset here and there. The older one had wanted to see Old Faithful since they had learned about it in school, so we chose Yellowstone and Grand Teton for our summer vacation. I have loved looking at these photos on my wall for quite a few years, but they're coming down. The next couple of photos that are coming down are these two just inside my bathroom. Have I ever told you that my studio is actually the master bedroom in our home, so it has an attached bathroom? These photos are from 2013. A company called iFi created these SD cards that have onboard Wi-Fi, and this was before Wi-Fi and Bluetooth were regularly built into cameras, so you could transfer your photos from your camera to your phone or your tablet using their app. It was very cool. Creating a video about the card was also a perfect opportunity for me to bring the viewer out into the field with me. At the time, I had done most everything, all of my videos from the studio. The usability of video on DSLRs wasn't so great at the time, so I didn't have a lot of in the field video clips within my YouTube videos. But this video gave me the push to try it out and to tell a story with my YouTube video. So I came up with a story, I grabbed Raymond, and we did it. I was, and I still am, really proud of that video. So these photos, captured on that outing, are a reminder of that for me. But now they're coming down. Okay, I've chosen 4 photos, each captured within the last few years, each captured on a different outing, but each pair of photos is matching in some way. I'll get to the individual photos, but let's quickly discuss how I print. When we first purchased the printer, I did some trial and error to see what works best. Photos look different on a screen than they do on paper, so you edit them a little bit differently for each. Well, that goes for when you're printing on your own. If you are ordering prints from a professional printer, they'll make the adjustments for you if you want them to, and usually they'll just do it automatically, but at home, I make the adjustments myself. Things like making photos a little bit brighter and then compensating throughout the dynamic range for that. The colors on my Mac monitors have always been very close to true, but I do have a Datacolor Spider X that I use to correct the color on my other monitors. Also, I am going to use some noise reduction on a couple of the photos just to make them extra crisp. I initially edited all of these photos for showing in my videos, but I'm re-editing them today so that they are optimized for printing. I did one thing that might be a little bit controversial, and I've never done it before, but I used editing software to replace the sky behind this raven. I really like this photo, but the sky background is not ideal, so I changed it. Nothing dramatic, it's just adding a little bit of abstract sky back there. You'll have noticed that the 4 photos that were in my frames were landscape and nature shots. So I'm going in another direction. Animals. For the 2 square frames that are over the simulator station, I have chosen 2 of my favorite animals, a raven and a jackrabbit. This raven photo was captured last month when we went to the Grand Canyon. That's where I fell in love with ravens to begin with. They're all over the place in northern Arizona, and they are the largest ravens that I have ever seen. They're so curious, always waiting for you to drop a sandwich or something so that they can feast on it. Ravens are a difficult bird to photograph, being completely black, but it's worth the work that I do in post-processing to bring out the details that you do see with your own eyes when they are in front of you. And this jackrabbit was captured a few years ago in 2021 at a nearby desert riparian area. I call the place Jackrabbit Park because I always see these beauties there. You have to be quick with your camera and have a telephoto, or better yet, a super telephoto lens to catch them. I like this photo in particular because my friend here is framed by plants, but I can see both of his ears. I love getting to this park a little bit before dawn and then seeing the rabbits waking up and starting to move around. I love them and I love their giant ears. So those 2 photos go into the 12 by 12 square frames for me to see every day in my studio. For these 2 8 by 10 inch frames, I've chosen bugs. First, this dragonfly. This is a photo from last year, and actually it was captured at the same park as the jackrabbit. I was there with a new tripod, and I actually got some great footage of this blue beauty moving around a little bit. I don't remember ever seeing dragonflies in real life as a kid, so they are still such a novelty to me. I could watch them and study their wings all day. And this guy was super patient with me as I was capturing video and still photos of him. As I recall though, this was a particularly buggy morning and I got all sorts of bug bites while I was there. This was captured right around sunrise, so we have a dreamy look to the image, which I adore. To go with my dragonfly, I've chosen this bee. This cherry tree was blossoming and was absolutely beautiful. This was near sunset on a pretty cloudy day, so I had nice diffused light, which worked so well. There were no harsh shadows and the blooms were illuminated the perfect amount. It was windy though, so it was difficult to capture the bees, which were buzzing from bloom to bloom as the branches themselves were moving. So I would basically pre-focus on a bloom and wait for a bee to come into the frame. That's how this photo happened. And similar to the jackrabbit image, the reason I like this photo so much is the framing. How these blossoms outside of the depth of field, both in front of and behind the bee, are just blurry. It makes for a really dreamy image, which goes well when put side by side with the dragonfly. And so as I enter the bathroom, I have these two beautiful bug buddies to check out. It feels so good to have new photos up. That's all for today, friends. It was so nice to walk down memory lane with these photos. Incidentally, when I take photos down, I have a bin here behind me that I keep them all in. Sometimes I will pull them back out and hang them on my photo wire that I showed you earlier. Sometimes I just look through them. Do you ever print photos, or do you have them printed? And how do you decide which to print? And how do you decide which to frame or hang? Tell the rest of us down in the comments. And on your way to comment, it would be lovely if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you to Frames Magazine for sponsoring a portion of this video, and thank you for watching.